What's good, you guys? This is your boy, DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Super appreciative of you guys for being here in the building. Wow. We have such an amazing turnout. You guys are spectacular. And I got to admit, it's been a great weekend in sports. It's been a really great weekend in culture. Man, so much to discuss. The world is such an amazing place. First things first, I hope y'all had a great weekend. My weekend was pretty good, if I'm being honest. Got a lot of things done. Me and wifey went out to dinner a couple times, so it was a pretty good weekend. And I don't have any negative things to say about the weekend at all. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope everybody made it home safely. I hope everybody made it to their job safely today. I know some of you guys are probably on your lunch breaks. I know some of you guys are probably in school listening to me with one AirPod in, and you tuned into the professor and with the other ear. So really appreciate you guys for locking in. And I couldn't ask for anything more. But you know, like I always say, I give you guys Chalk It Up Sports daily at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys hit the like button when you guys come in. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed to the content. And also make sure you share it, man. I'm giving you guys Chalk It Up Sports daily, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. On top of that, make sure you guys go check out my interview that's going to be premiering at 6 p.m. Eastern time today. There's going to be a special guest on the show. Make sure you guys are there locked in at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Trust and believe you guys don't want to miss that special guest that I have for you guys. I don't want to reveal it necessarily. I want you guys to go check it out for yourself. But it's a really great conversation that I'm really proud of. And Chalk It Up Sports is only going to get bigger, only going to get better. And it's pretty much because of you guys. You guys have just been a part of this team. And uh I don't take that for granted, really, for the simple fact that you guys could be doing anything else. You guys could be any and everywhere. You guys could be locked in on other content. You guys have so many options, right? So it's my job to really be grateful for that and give you guys the best version of me, regardless of how many people's in the live stream. Even if it's one person, if it's 10 people, if it's 50 people, 100 people, my job is to always give you guys me, fully me, no matter what. And I'm never going to shortchange you guys, regardless of how many people in this live stream. I don't care if there's nobody in here. We give you guys the same energy because you guys can always double back and watch these later on. Like I said, I know you guys got a lot of options, and that's just the reality. That's just the reality of the game. My job is to stand out amongst the rest and give you guys my version of the truth. So let's get right into it. The Philadelphia Eagles. Well, should we start with the Philadelphia Eagles? Because I always take a lot of time on the Eagles. So let's start with basketball, right? We're going to start with basketball. Let's start there because we'll be able to peel back the layers of that, and then that's not really going to take too much time. So the Sixers, they went 2-1 over the weekend. Well, 2-1 with their over their West Coast trip. They beat the Lakers, they beat the Clippers, and then they lost to the Phoenix Suns. That's the second time we lost to the Suns. And I don't know if it seems like they got our number. I don't know if it seems as though we just can't beat them, but they are a really good team. They are a great team. They've already locked up the best record in the NBA. They've locked up the number one seed in the West, and it all depends on how far they go in the playoffs, because your record doesn't mean anything once the dance starts. It's all about who can make the most plays, take advantage of the opportunity. So kudos to the Suns for taking care of business. Joel Embiid always does his thing. He's continuing to make an MVP case for himself. And James Harden, he had a great game against the Clippers. Struggled a little bit against the Lakers and struggled a little bit against the Suns. But overall, he's distributing the ball, putting guys in a pretty good position to score. Tyrese Maxey is continuously doing his thing. Tobias Harris, we need more from him. He's going to be the X factor, if we're being completely honest. If we don't get a 20-point per game Tobias Harris, or a minimum 18 points per game from Tobias Harris on a regular basis, this team is not going to go as far as we need to go. Joel Embiid can't carry us. James Harden can't carry us. Tyrese Maxey can't carry us. We need a total team effort, and we're going to need a consistent contribution from guys on the bench. But since the Brooklyn Nets loss, this team has had to rediscover themselves. They have had to look at themselves in the mirror. And since the Brooklyn Nets loss, that took place on March 10th, I believe. The Sixers are 6-3, so they've managed to get things back on track and I guess reestablish a rhythm and get back into winning favor. Now, the Eastern Conference is the most interesting of the conferences because just a couple days ago, the Sixers were the number one seed. And now, all of a sudden, they're the fourth seed. That just goes to tell you, or show you rather, how tight the Eastern Conference is when it comes to these games. When you think about seeds 5 through 8, 5 through 9, it's really about a 2 or 3 game span, 2 or 3 game stretch between those teams. So a team could go on a winning streak, a team can go on a losing streak, and it'll swing everything from that 5th to 9th seed. But then when you think about the 1 through 4th seed, which is the top 4 teams in the East, the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Philadelphia 76ers, things can really shift for those teams. Uh, you know, like I said, the Sixers just a couple days ago were the number one seed. Now they're the fourth seed, and if things hold true, they'll be running up against the Chicago Bulls in the first round, which I don't have any worries against that. We're the better team, and we've proven that we can beat them on any given day. Same thing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. We proved we could beat them. Now we lost to the Toronto Raptors not too long ago, but we're a better team. I think we'll beat them in the long run. They just got one over us, and we underperformed. But overall, the only teams I'm really worried about in this Eastern Conference are the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Brooklyn Nets. Because as much as my ego would have it, I would much rather not face the Brooklyn Nets in the first round of the playoffs. That would be a tough matchup. Kyrie Irving is officially able to play home games now, so it'll be really tough. But the Brooklyn Nets are struggling themselves. They lost their last game, and they've dropped to the 9th seed, and they're definitely in that play-in. So they have a lot of ground to cover. If the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Charlotte Hornets want to keep pace, they're going to have to continue to win games. And the Toronto Raptors and Chicago Bulls, they have to continue to win games as well. It's not going to be an easy situation for none of those teams. So it's really going to be interesting to see how things pan out in the Eastern Conference. But overall, the Sixers, they have a long road ahead of them. If the Brooklyn Nets end up not making the playoffs, I definitely feel like the Sixers have a strong chance of making the Eastern Conference Finals. But I'm not going to pretend like the Brooklyn Nets don't startle me. They did what they did against us, and they did it in our house, right? So they already have the confidence, and they sort of already exposed something about this Philadelphia Sixers team, and that's that they don't play with a second and third effort. The Sixers are going to have to dig deep, and they're going to have to really challenge themselves mentally and emotionally and physically to continue to make noise in this playoffs. And I believe my Sixers are talented enough to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and potentially win the Eastern Conference Finals. But when you might have to run against a team like the Suns in the finals, I'm a little worried about that because the Suns have our number right now. They beat us 2 times in a row, and that's something to be wary of. The Memphis Grizzlies, I think they're a really talented team, but I don't see them making it to the Western Conference Finals. I just don't think they're quite there yet. They're young, they're talented, but I just don't think they have it yet. But other than that, the Sixers, great weekend, 2-1. I would have loved for us to beat the Suns, but it's all right. You win some and you lose some. But overall, good weekend. They've done pretty well since that Brooklyn Nets loss, so I want to give them credit where credit is due. I'm going to be paying close attention to Doc Rivers, though, and I know you guys are as well. Doc Rivers is the one I'm really worried about when it comes to his rotations, how he staggers minutes. It's going to be really interesting to see how this thing pans out. But now, let's transition to football because that's where most of our hearts are right now, right? So, the Philadelphia Eagles, they decided to sign linebacker Kazir White to a 1-year, $5 million deal. Now, Kazir White, he is a former 4th-round draft pick drafted by the Los Angeles Chargers in 2018, went to the University of West Virginia, and he played 47 total games for the Chargers and started in 37 of them. So he has a good amount of starter experience. His most recent season, the 2021 season, was his breakout year. And he had a total of 144 tackles, 90 solo tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 3 pass deflections. So he's giving you a multitude of different things, not only in pursuing the ball, but also when it comes to defending against the pass in the intermediate. So he's somebody that you definitely would like on your team. He can only get better, right? I just hope this doesn't look like one of those Eric Wilson situations. You guys tell me, because Eric Wilson definitely didn't pan out. He came off of a so-called career year with the Minnesota Vikings, and we couldn't really get that out of him. I'm hoping Kaiser White is a different story. You see, Kaiser White, he's more of your modern day linebacker, right? He's not that big. He's about he's about 6'2", 220 pounds. Doesn't really have that much weight on him, especially when it comes to defending the run. So he could potentially be a liability in that. Early on in his career, he did struggle with defending the pass, but that last year was his best year defending the pass, and maybe he hit his stride. Maybe he figured it out. Maybe it took him a few years to get acclimated to the speed of the game. But overall, I'm hoping that Kaiser White can carry over his production from last season for the Chargers and bring it over here to Philadelphia, because now the linebacker core has some talent there. And I really like the Kaiser White signing, if I'm being completely candid with you guys. Let's think about it from this perspective. You got a guy like Hassan Reddick, who's going to give you dominance in the pass rush, a lot of athleticism. You got TJ Edwards, who gives you athleticism, that prototypical big body, 240, 250 pound linebacker. And he's really good in stopping the run. That's his specialty. He has improved in pass coverage, but he still can be a liability at times. Doesn't have the full athleticism to keep up with those tight ends, and kind of struggles with rotating his hips. But when you think about Kaiser White, super athletic linebacker, he's a safety converted linebacker, so he definitely has potential to be very productive in pass protection or defending the pass rather. And like I said, he can potentially be a liability in defending the run, but at the same time, he plays fast, plays hard. He's a big hitter, not afraid to get physical, and I'm looking forward to what Kaiser White can bring to the table. So I really like this move. The interesting thing about Kaiser White is he was born in New Jersey, raised in PA, so he's so just like Hassan Reddick, they're no stranger to the Philadelphia Eagles culture. They're no stranger to how we do things over here. Kaiser White indicated that his first Eagles game was the whiteout game, the game where the Detroit Lions came to town. Nick Foles went off. LaShawn McCoy was going crazy, did his thing. So Kaiser White definitely has the pulse of the city so far, and this screams a Jonathan Gannon signing to me. Jonathan Gannon, think about the way we played football, or at least tried to play football last season. We needed guys that were multiple. We needed guys that were capable of not only stopping and running, but dropping back in pass coverage, getting enough depth, in their coverage. And that's something that we didn't have. We lacked that. We lacked that linebacker who was able to drop back in coverage and keep up with these athletic tight ends. And that's kind of what Kaiser White brings to the table. That's why this screams Jonathan Gannon signing to me. When Jonathan Gannon first came to the city, he indicated that he wanted guys there. He wanted to have a versatile defense. He never wanted to commit himself to just one scheme or one way of playing defense. He wanted to really mold it to his talent, but he didn't really have the talent or the tools in the toolbox to really play defense the way, or call defense the way he really wanted to. Like I said, Jonathan Gannon wants guys who are multiple, guys who are versatile, guys that can, drop back in coverage, has that speed to keep up with tight ends and wide receivers in the slot, guys who aren't afraid to put their head down and run defense. He just needs guys that can do more than one thing well. And Kaiser White definitely fits the bill. He's young, coming off a rookie deal, and that's kind of the Howie Roseman trend, right? He always goes after these guys who are coming off of rookie deals, looking to prove something, guys who are either forgotten about or forsaken from their previous organizations. So really curious to see how this thing pans out with Kaiser White. Got a lot of high hopes for him. So right now, Eagles depth chart at linebacker is not that bad when you think about it, if you ask me. Right now they got Kaiser White on the weak side linebacker spot, TJ Edwards at middle linebacker, Hassan Reddick at strong side linebacker. Then they still got Davion Taylor, still got Sean Bradley, still got Jacoby Stevens, who is that linebacker slash safety, modern day linebacker type. Can definitely get things done in the box, can potentially drop back in coverage. So we're starting to remold this defense in the image of the modern NFL. Like I said, I love the combination of Hassan Reddick, TJ Edwards, and Kazir White. You have three different linebackers that can do three different things very, very well, and you can just mix and match those guys. And I still got high hopes for Davion Taylor and Sean Bradley. I know Sean Bradley has really earned his coins on the special team side of the ball, and he has made some plays here and there. He has had the opportunity to get on the field, but Davion Taylor is the one who has the most upside to me between those two guys. Davion Taylor, he plays with a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism, can run sideline to sideline, and he's very physical. He's just a very raw athlete, and we need to be able to find a way to pull the best out of him when need be. And on top of that, if he can stay healthy, that's the biggest thing. We need Davion Taylor to try to stay healthy because, again, if Kazir White is not the answer, and if Davion Taylor is showing that he's better or more productive, then Davion Taylor needs to be able to stay on the field and do just that. I'm not saying I don't think Kazir White will do terrible or he won't do well, but we have some talent at the linebacker position. It just needs to pan out, if you ask me. So let's shout out the chat, man. Shout out to my man Jay Young. We got 6 people on the live stream. Make sure you guys hit that like button before you guys head out. If you guys are just hopping in, make sure you hit that like button as well. It really helps the content grow. I'm giving you guys daily sports talk, Chalk It Up Sports daily at 1 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. And I'm still giving you guys videos before and after that. And I also have a pretty dope interview premiering for you guys at 6 p.m. So make sure you guys check that out at 6 p.m. Eastern time as well on the live. So I'm looking forward to you guys checking that out, man. We're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, and we're also live on Twitch. So make sure you guys check me out on Twitch if you want. However, you guys got to get the content. Make sure you guys are there. Shout out to my man Jay Young and the GOAT Michi. Michi says, I like the Kazir White signing. He says, to be honest, he's better than Wilson due to the fact that he can cover, and also, in my opinion, he's a safety / linebacker hybrid, which is what some modern day linebackers are today. That's a fact. He says, I think we're moving to a 3-4/4-3 defense mixed in with a lot of 5-2 as well. Exactly. In order for Jonathan Gannon's defense to work, he has to have smart players who aren't afraid to mix and match, players who aren't afraid to get out of their comfort zone. And like I said, this Kazir White signing is perfect for Jonathan Gannon because he prefers players who are multiple, guys who are versatile. And I know I keep saying that, but it's just a fact, right? Michi brought up a good point. You're going to see moments where we're in the 3-4 scheme, in the 4-3 scheme, in the 5-2 scheme. You want to be able to mold your defense to whatever your opponent is doing, so you can be able to attack them on all fronts. And I'm a proponent of you need to be able to dictate the pace on defense. Too often the Philadelphia Eagles are reacting on defense, always playing from or always calling defense from a play or two behind. We're always reacting to what the offense is doing. We need to make the offense react to what we're doing. And that's how I feel like this Philadelphia Eagles team should be. If we're on offense, make the defense react to us. If we're on defense, we need to make the offense react to us. We need to always be a play or two ahead. We need to always try to have our hand in the defense's pocket or the offense's pocket, because time and time again, we always seem to be playing from a play behind. Y'all be the judge. Y'all tell me. Think about all the games we played this season. Think about the matchup against the Buccaneers or against the Chiefs, right, from the past season, or even the Cowboys matchup. Think about the Las Vegas Raiders matchup. It just seemed like the Eagles were always a play behind on defense, and we were just reacting and never really dictating the energy, dictating the outcome, or dictating the pace. Michi says, would you mind putting Kazir White as a box safety? Well, here's the thing, right? He is a former safety turned linebacker. In this Jonathan Gannon scheme, you're going to see players all over the place. That's the thing. You're going to see guys. You're going to see Kazir White probably drop back at like a safety. You're going to probably see Anthony Harris drop down in drop down in the box. Depending if we go get another safety in the draft or in free agency. You're going to see so many. I'm really excited for this defense because this might be the most talented defense. This might be the most talented linebacker core we've had in quite some time. Let's be totally honest. We got to give credit where credit is due when it comes to TJ Edwards. TJ Edwards came a long way from being an undrafted guy. Hassan Reddick came a long way from being a first-round pick who didn't really seem like he was going to pan out in the NFL, coming out of Temple. And then he had a breakout season his fourth season with the Arizona Cardinals, and then his fifth season carried it right over, getting 2 years worth of double-digit sacks. So, and then you got Kaiser White, who had a career year as well, a guy who's able to force turnovers, a guy who's not afraid to get physical, a guy who plays fast, who's athletic, who's able to keep up from an athletic standpoint with these new age tight ends and slot wide receivers. So this might be the most talented linebacker core we've had in quite some time. Definitely in the past 5 or 6 seasons, if you ask me. I know we had guys like Nigel Bradham, Michael Kendricks at one point, but Nigel Bradham was serviceable for the time being. Michael Kendricks was serviceable, but I don't think we've had this much talent at the linebacker position. You guys tell me. Can you guys think of the combination of linebackers we had the past several seasons? Because we had to deal with guys like Nathan Jerry, Alex Singleton, who are pretty much one-trick ponies. I prefer Alex Singleton over Nate Gary for sure, but Nate Gary was always a liability. Alex Singleton is a liability in pass coverage, and it kind of seemed like he couldn't really read the gaps that well. Was a tackling machine though, was great at pursuing, but it seemed like once again he was always playing reactionary defense, always waiting for the offense to do something and then reacting a second or two or a step too late. And we can't really have that. Shout out to my man Eagles Realist in the building. Really appreciate you guys for being here. Listen, man, I love green tea. What's your favorite tea? Because green tea is my favorite. If you guys drink tea, I know some people are coffee drinkers, but green tea, man, it does wonders. For getting me flowing. It gives me that perfect start to my day, man. So, man, excuse me if I continue to sip this tea because I love green tea. I don't put nothing in it. I don't put no honey, no sugar. I just do it straight up. Got to keep it as healthy as I possibly can. But yeah, really happy about this Kaiser White signing, and also on top of that, you got him on a 1-year, $5 million deal. That's not bad at all. This might be outside of the Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce deals. This is the most expensive signing we've had when it comes to 1-year deals this season. The biggest signing obviously was Hassan Reddick on that 3-year deal worth about 45, 47 million, something like that. So yeah, man, this team is definitely trending in the right direction when it comes to the linebacker position. Now, here's the unique thing about it, you guys. This is where things get interesting because I know a lot of us were banking on drafting a linebacker in the first round. But when you think about it from the perspective of Howie Roseman has made these moves in the offseason, such as bringing in Hassan Reddick on the strong side linebacker position, a guy who's going to start for you. That's a fact. He's a starter. TJ Edwards at middle linebacker, he's going to start. And then you got Kaiser White, who may compete with like a Devonta Taylor to start, right? I think those guys are going to compete, but I think Kaiser White might end up beating them out. Who knows? Devonta Taylor may not be healthy enough to even, be able to compete. You know what I mean? That's just his story so far. But think about it from the perspective of the NFL draft. Bringing in 2 linebackers in free agency tells me that, or at least shows me that Howie Roseman may not draft a linebacker in that first round. Maybe in the second or third rounds, to add some depth. But his moves are showing me that he's not considering drafting a linebacker in that first round. He'll much rather invest in a linebacker, an experienced linebacker in free agency. Just think about, like I said, the linebacker depth chart right now has Hassan Reddick, TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, Devonta Taylor, Sean Bradley, Jacoby Stevens, Christian Ellis. And some of those guys might go to the practice squad like Christian Ellis and Jacoby Stevens. But, drafting another linebacker would just kind of create a log jam. And, you also got Patrick Johnson as well, Joe Ostman. John Avery's not coming back. Ryan Kerrigan's not coming back. So it's you have a lot of bodies in the linebacker room thus far. Guys that you're still waiting to see pan out, like a Patrick Johnson or Jacoby Stevens, Devonta Taylor, like guys like that. And then you bring in 2 guys who will most likely start for you, in Hassan Reddick and Kaiser White. And then you just paid TJ Edwards a 2-year extension last year. So 9 times out of 10, those are going to be the 3 starters: Kaiser White, TJ Edwards, and Hassan Reddick. And I just don't see the Eagles drafting a linebacker in the first round just based off the moves that Howie Roseman has made. Now, that begs the question: what positions will they target in that first round? Remember, we got 3 first-round picks. Now, I believe one of those first-round picks will get traded or packaged somehow. That's just my honest belief. I don't see Howie Roseman drafting 3 players in the first round. Just doesn't seem likely to me. But 2 players seem very realistic. So who will those 2 players be? Right? That begs the question. That's the biggest question. Who will those 2 players be that Howie Roseman drafts? Now, it begs the question, what position will he go? Right? Because I think we're going to definitely bolster the defensive line. I think that's a foregone conclusion. So let's think about the top edge rushers, right? You got Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, George Karlaftis, David Ajabo, who actually has a torn Achilles, so I doubt he'll go in the first round. You have Jermaine Johnson, Jermaine Johnson, the second from Florida State, Majai Sanders out of Cincinnati, Drake Jackson out of USC, Logan Hall out of Houston. You know what I'm saying? Nick Bonito out of Oklahoma. You know, so they have options. Who knows? They may go D tackle, right? They got Jordan Davis out of Georgia. They can go after DeMarvin Leal out of Texas A&M, Travon Walker out of Georgia, Perrion Winfrey, Devonta Wyatt. They have options that they can go for on the defensive line. I really think we're going to go defensive line in this draft in the first round, especially. I just don't see it going any other way. That's just the way Howie Roseman has built this team in the past several seasons, or for as long as he's been in control. Everything for Howie Roseman begins and ends in the trenches. We have 7 people in the live stream. Thank y'all so much for hitting that like button. You guys are amazing. If you haven't hit it already, make sure you guys smash that like button. The like button really helps the content grow. If you guys care about Chalking Up Sports Philly, or if you guys want Chalking Up Sports to grow, continue to hit that like button. Continue to share the content if you like. Continue to follow me on Twitter. All the links to do all that are below my Twitter handles. If you guys want to support the Chalk It Up merch shop as well, you guys can do that as well. The Chalk It Up merch shop is definitely give you guys a lot of dope flavors to wear. We got hoodies, tees, face masks, neck gaiters. So whatever you want, I got it. Whatever you need, I sure can provide it. So make sure you guys continue to check the links down below in the live stream. We got a merch shop that's ready and willing for you guys to to lace yourselves with the gear. And I'm giving you guys this content, Chalking Up Sports daily, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So continue to lock in on the content. I know I appreciate y'all so much. Michi says, I see us getting a corner and a wide receiver. We have so much depth at the cornerback position. It makes me question whether or not Howie Roseman will go corner in the first round. Now, if one of those guys fall to him, it'd be kind of hard to pass on him. But just knowing how Howie Roseman has built this team in the past, he lives and dies by the trenches. So I really see him drafting either an edge rusher or a defensive tackle in that first round. Now, Fletcher Cox may not be here next year, so he may decide to go D tackle a guy like Jordan Davis or Travon Walker out of Georgia or DeMarvin Leal. Those are real options. Or Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State, since David Ajabo dropped in the draft due to that Achilles tear. Someone's going to draft David Ajabo. Someone will bank on his upside and his recovery. But so far, if I see us drafting anybody on the defensive line, it's probably going to be Jermaine Johnson, the second out of Florida State, George Karlaftis out of Purdue, Jordan Davis out of Georgia, Travon Walker out of Georgia, or DeMarvin Leal out of Texas A&M. That's really what I expect. Like I said, we already picked up 2 linebackers in free agency, 2 guys that most likely will start for us. So I just don't see us drafting a linebacker in the first round, knowing how Howie Roseman likes to approach that position on the later rounds, like second, third, maybe fourth round. If we do go linebacker, we need to in the second round or beyond, we should definitely consider going after Christian Harris or Chad Muma out of Wyoming, or Quay Walker out of Georgia. Those guys are talented as well. I know Devin Lloyd out of Utah and Kobe Dean are the top 2 guys in linebacker that most likely will go in the first round. But if they don't get those guys in the first round, you still got options in Christian Harris and Chad Muma out of Wyoming and Quay Walker. So that's going to be interesting. Like Michi said, they could potentially go cornerback as well. So you think about the corners that will be available: Derek Stingley Jr., Andrew Booth Jr., Ahmad Sauce Gardner, Roger McCreary, Trent McDuffie, Kyer Elam. There's some options there. But who will fall to the 15th, 16th, or 19th spot? I don't think Derek Stingley will fall that far. I just don't. Maybe Sauce Gardner won't fall that far either, but they're going to have some options at the cornerback position as well. It's going to be really interesting to see how it pans out, if we're being completely honest with you. Now, like I was talking about when it comes to the draft, we have to consider this. Howie Roseman may or may not go get a quarterback. I know you guys probably think it sounds crazy, but it's really not. Now, according to Peter King of NBC Sports, the Eagles will not draft a quarterback in the first round. That's what Peter King says. And Peter King tends to give out pretty good information. You know, he's been doing this for a long time, and I have a lot of respect for Peter King, like his personality as well. But the Eagles drafted a quarterback in the first round. I know Peter King says it's not likely, but Howie Roseman has surprised us before. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys check out the videos I dropped prior to the live stream. Uh, there's something to be said about someone who's constantly surprising you. It's kind of hard to really put all your eggs in that person's basket, right? It's really hard to just take that person's word for it. And I'm not saying Peter King is a liar, but Howie Roseman, he's the one you got to watch out for when it comes to lying because it's smokescreen season. You got so many teams, organizations, GMs throwing out random misinformation to throw other teams off their scent so they can, I guess throw a monkey wrench in other teams' plans and make them make certain moves, things of that nature. But, overall, like we have to be mindful that Howie Roseman has not necessarily been the most straightforward of a character. Howie Roseman has drafted a quarterback in the second round when he just paid a quarterback multiple millions, right? In Carson Wentz. You draft Jalen Hurts. That was a surprise. We didn't see that coming, especially when Carson Wentz needed help in that wide receiver room. You think about drafting Justin Jefferson. Drafting Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, but Justin Jefferson was right there waiting for you. Makes no sense in any way to me. We could have had a wide receiver for the next 8 years if we played our cards right with that situation. But now we're stuck with a lemon and Jalen Reagor. So it's like Howie Roseman has surprised us before, and we can't just act like we don't know what he's capable of. We can't. That's why I think he's going to be safe and go D line in that first round. Probably go wide receiver. We just can't be surprised, honestly. And let's also remember this: they had dinner with Kenny Pickett. They sent quarterback coach Brian Johnson down to Kenny Pickett's pro day, and Brian Johnson and Kenny Pickett had dinner together. So they're considering drafting that young man. Now, could it all be smokescreen? I don't know. But that'd be a hell of a smokescreen, wasting your quarterback coach's time when he could be, spending that time elsewhere, being productive, and also wasting that young man's time in Kenny Pickett. So it all really remains to be seen. But we have to be mindful that Howie Roseman has not surprised us before. Also, think about it from Jalen Hurts' perspective. Now, Jalen Hurts, he's a consummate professional. He's not going to allow situations like this to really get in his head. But, on top of that, having Jalen Hurts at quarterback is a low risk, high reward type of situation. Wouldn't you guys agree? Because you have him on a rookie deal. You're not going to owe him that much money. And if he pans out and takes his game to an astronomical level this season, then you probably found your quarterback for the next, 8 to 10 years, depending on his play style, right? So it's interesting to see how this thing really will lay out because, like I said, Howie Roseman, the Eagles, they have Hurts on a very low end rookie deal that's not going to hurt us in any way. So if he ends up being the guy, you manage to get all this production out of him on this very minuscule contract. And then if he, and also if he ends up being the guy, then you found your quarterback for the next 10 years, if he can stay healthy, if he continues to develop and grow, and if he doesn't do well, if he's not the guy, you can easily get away from the contract, move on from him, probably trade him for some assets, and then draft your quarterback in next year's draft, or maybe trade for one if someone becomes disgruntled because player movement is at an all-time high right now in the NFL. So this Jalen Hurts situation is really a low risk, high reward type of situation. And we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with the fact that Jalen Hurts is our quarterback, and we need to make sure he does well. We need to give that man all the support that we can give him because he's a Philadelphia Eagle. He's the starting quarterback at the end of the day, and he has the keys to the offense. So we need Jalen Hurts to be better than he was last year. We need that. We need Jalen Hurts to get in his bag this season. We can't have Jalen Hurts looking crazy out there. And Howie Roseman potentially is setting his man up to fail, if we're going to be honest about it. Howie Roseman hasn't given this man any sort of help. Wouldn't you agree? What has he done the past few months in free agency, or I guess the past few weeks, excuse me? What has he done the past couple weeks in free agency to show that he believes in Jalen Hurts wholeheartedly, besides speak on it at the press conference at the combine? What has he done? What has his decision making shown? You can talk a good game, talking about you're going to take risk, but you have not done so. You have not done that. You haven't made a move on none of these free agent wide receivers besides Zach Pascal. No disrespect to him, but Zach Pascal is not a world beater. You didn't make a move to trade for none of these wide receivers. You know, a guy like DK Metcalf is on the market. Rumor is Deebo Samuel might be on the market as well. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if Tyreek Hill was on the market at one point. You know, like, you can't keep wasting time like this. If you want Jalen Hurts to be successful, go get your wide receiver. And even if he's not the guy, then you move on from him, and then you bring in another quarterback, and then now he got a weapon. You know what I'm saying? So commit, make a move. You can't continue to exercise this amount of malpractice at the wide receiver position because you suck at drafting them. Devonta Smith was a no-brainer. That's the best wide receiver you've ever drafted, Howie. You know, and he's going to continue to get better. He came into the NFL polished, but Howie Roseman, you can't expect Jalen Hurts to really take that next step as a quarterback if you're not giving him the tools to succeed. Yes, he has a good offensive line. Yes, he has a above average running back room. You know, and then you think about what he brings to the running game as well. Yes, you led the league in rushing this past season, right? Yes, you're starting to add some pieces in the linebacker room to help that defense. But you need to get that man some weapons. Without the weapons, who was he throwing to? Jalen Reagor? J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? Like Zach Pascal? Like, look, no disrespect. It's really not disrespect, but Zach Pascal has a lot to prove in his NFL, and I don't want to act like he has done the most to command respect from his peers. I respect him as a man. You know, I respect him as a guy that came into the league undrafted, but he needs to build up more equity in this league before I start to put my utmost faith in him. And I don't think that's disrespectful, right? Devonta Smith was a borderline 1,000-yard receiver, put up 915, 916 yards, broke Deshaun Jackson's rookie receiving record, had 5 touchdowns, averaged about 13 to 14 yards per reception. So he was definitely moving the chains for us, but we need some help at that position. You know, I like Quez Watkins. He can be a legit number 3. He surpassed expectations, put up over 600 yards receiving, was averaging about 14, 15 yards reception, a big play guy, a speed guy. You know, but you need that big body wide receiver to add to the mix. A guy like a DK Metcalf, a guy like a Devontae Parker, who's going to take some pressure off of Devonta Smith, and bringing those guys in, they can be your chain movers. They can be your possession wide receivers, your contested catch wide receivers, your red zone threats. You dig what I'm saying? So we have to Howie Roseman can't continue to do this. Now, again, I don't know if he's waiting post-draft or what. I don't know what he's waiting for, but he may draft a wide receiver in that first round. But my thing is, which wide receiver will he draft? Will he go after Drake London out of USC? That's a big body athletic freak. You never know. Will he wait deeper in the draft to get a wide receiver? You know, we have to consider all of these things because Howie Roseman is someone that you have to watch closely, and his decisions have not shown me that he believes in Jalen Hurts wholeheartedly. Wilts Duncan, what's going on? He says, you got that Hurts jersey for a reason. He will grow. Hey, listen, man. I got the utmost faith in that young man. I really do. But I'm all about upgrading. I'm all about improvement. I'm all about taking the next steps. As long as he continues to improve, which is what I expect. But the question also will become, how big of an improvement will he make? You know what I mean? That's the $1 million question. He can improve, but will it be enough for him to be committed to by this organization? We'll find out. Michi says, yeah, but this is the problem. This is his contract year. So if he balls out, he's going to ask for that contract. Well, technically, this is not his contract year. He's entering his third season in the NFL. His contract year is technically next year. But come season end, best believe his people are going to be asking for an extension. They are. And it all depends on how it plays out this season. If he has a similar season like last year, his people have no leverage, none whatsoever. But if he improves astronomically, if he takes his game to another level beyond belief, best believe his people will have some leverage. So it all comes down to just how good or how great Jalen Hurts can be. It all comes down to that. If we're being completely honest with ourselves, it will never get away from that. You know, can he? Will he be great enough to elevate guys like Jalen Rager, elevate guys like Quez Watkins and Zach Pascal? You know, even Dallas Goedert, right? Will Dallas Goedert take his game to another level to help Jalen Hurts? And I think that's another reason why Howie Roseman hasn't made a move for a legit wide receiver, because he understands that a tight end is the quarterback's best friend, and he expects Dallas Goedert to be a legit weapon in the pass game. You know, Devonta Smith. So, I don't know. When you think about it, in the past, Howie Roseman has definitely leaned on that tight end position, like Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck. We're definitely known for that, but we definitely need to, Dallas Goedert needs to take his game to another level. He may crack 1,000 yards this season. He was pretty damn close. Devonta Smith was pretty damn close to cracking 1,000 yards. He was productive. So those two guys are clearly the 1A, 1B options for Jalen Hurts, but he needs a 1C option. He needs another guy on in the X or in the Z positions to take that pressure off him, to make his job easier. That's just my opinion. Michi says we might as well trade for Parker, though. You're right. Trading for Devontae Parker would probably be the easiest move to make, because the Dolphins kind of have to get rid of him. They don't really have leverage. Now, a lot of teams are looking at Devontae Parker, so they do have leverage in that regard. They can kind of, play the market and take the best deal that works for them. But overall, the Eagles need to make a move for a big body wide receiver, a guy that's 6'2", 6'3", 220 plus pounds, that can get physical, in all ways possible. In all ways possible, man. Because right now, the wide receiver room looks like this. You got Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, Greg Ward, Zach Pascal, Jalen Rager, J.J. Arthur-Whiteside, John Hightower, and Deion Kane. John Hightower, practice squad guy. Don't anticipate him taking it to another level in any way. J.J. Arthur-Whiteside, I believe this is his final year of his contract. I don't expect him to be good in any way as well. Jalen Rager, my expectations for him are very low. Zach Pascal, he's looking to prove something, so I expect him to, really, really battle for that number 2, number 3 wide receiver spot. Greg Ward, I expect him to battle as well. Devonta Smith, he's the only guy who's legitimate in that wide receiver room. And then the tight end room, you got Dallas Goedert, Jack Stoll, Tyree Jackson, Richard Rodgers still. Jason Kroon most likely won't be coming back, but I think we draft a tight end also in this draft as well. I like Jack Stoll, but he's more of a blocking tight end. He can catch, but don't expect him to do much after the catch. I like Tyree Jackson. He needs to stay healthy, though. That's going to be the biggest problem with Tyree Jackson, if he can stay healthy. And then, I made a video about Miles Sanders not too long ago. Actually, I made it yesterday. I have a lot of high expectations for Miles Sanders. Michi says, yes, to be honest, we struggle at having a red zone threat. We had to rely on pick plays to get red zone TDs, so a jump ball receiver would do wonders. Absolutely. Great point, Michi. I'm putting that up. This is a great point. He says, having a red zone threat, he said we struggled having a red zone threat, and we had to rely on pick plays to get red zone TDs. That is a big deal, because we lost so many touchdowns during the season last year because we relied heavily on these pick plays, and guys were – it was offensive pass interference. Guys weren't waiting long enough. Guys weren't in the right position. And that took a lot of points off the board and took a lot of touchdowns off the board for Jalen Hurts. So if we can stop depending on scheme to get guys open in the red zone and rely more so on talent and guys' physical attributes, then we'll be a better team. Let's just be honest about that. That was what J.J. Arthur-Whiteside was supposed to be. He was supposed to be that guy that can get the jump balls and be that possession guy, that chain mover. He has not panned out in any way. We got 10 people on the live stream, you guys. I appreciate it. Make sure I hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. If you're on the way out, hit that like button. If you just got here, hit that like button. I appreciate you guys so much. The love is always felt over here. I'm giving you guys these daily doses of content every single day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Chalk It Up Sports Daily is yours, here and true, Monday through Friday, every single day at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So I appreciate the love. My man Jalen Williams, what's going on, my guy? Appreciate you for being here. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. But, I was just sitting here talking about, and I want to get your opinion on this as well, Jay Will. Think about the Philadelphia Eagles. I was beginning to talk about Miles Sanders, and I want to get your feedback on this, Jay Will. Miles Sanders, is this a big year for him? I want to get your thoughts on this because Miles Sanders, for 2 seasons in a row, has tapped out at the 12 game mark. This past season only played 12 games. The season before that only played 12 games, and then his rookie season he played in 16 games. But I think he started in about 14 of them or 13 of them or whatever. But this is a big season for Miles Sanders. Would y'all agree? Because he's looking to get an extension somehow. He's looking to get paid in some way. And these teams hate locking up too much money at the running back position. That's just the reality of it. And on top of that, Miles Sanders has shown that he can't really stay healthy when his snaps go above a certain amount per game. So if he has any chance of getting re-signed within his organization, he has to first of all crack that 1,000-yard mark rushing and be productive in the passing game as well, because I know a lot of people say his usage was decreasing, but this year really was the only time his usage was really at a limited basis. The year prior to that, he regressed in the passing game, was dropping balls, wasn't really as effective as he was his rookie season in the passing game. And I don't know why. I don't know if he stopped taking reps in practice, catching the ball. I don't know if he need to hit the jug machine or whatever it may be. But Miles Sanders, he may not be a perennial 1,000-yard back, but he's that running back that's going to definitely give you over 1,000 yards from scrimmage if you utilize him in various ways. But he needs to catch the ball. He needs to prove his value time and time again, because he can't stay healthy, because we don't get him on a consistent basis, because you got a guy like Kenny Gainwell back there who can catch the rock better than you, that can actually run routes. You know what I'm saying? A guy who was healthy all season. A guy like Boston Scott, they brought him back. He was able to put up more touchdowns than you. He was able to be more effective at times. Now look, Miles Sanders has averaged, I think well over 4 yards per carry for his career. I think over 5 yards per carry for his career, if I'm being honest. Miles Sanders has been productive when he's been on the field, but he has a fumbling issue at times. I know he only lost 1 fumble this season, but there were moments where the whistle got blown right before they pulled that ball out. So he got lucky in some regard. But Miles Sanders needs to get better at ball security, needs to do a better job of taking care of his body. And look, I don't know what he does on a daily basis to get better at from a health perspective, but he can't keep getting health. He can't keep getting hurt like this if he wants to be considered to be the running back for the next 3 or 4 years in Philadelphia. They're not going to give him a long-term deal, especially if he can't stay healthy or show that he can be productive in more facets than one in the game. Because what makes an offense deadly is when you have to worry about the running back in the backfield, running routes on you. So we have to think about all that stuff as well. So I'm really curious to see how everyone feels about Miles Sanders standing on this team, and will he be able to ball out this upcoming season? I'm not saying he can't or he can't or he can't or he won't, but we have to consider the fact that Miles Sanders may not be here after this season if he can't even stay healthy or just show that he can be productive in the passing game and the running game. Jay Will, he says Miles Sanders is a good running back, but he isn't great nor special in any way. While the 1,000 yards is the standard of a starting running back. Absolutely. And think about it from this perspective, Jay Will. It's 17 games now, so 1,000 yards is really not that spectacular anymore. Not from a wide receiver or from a running back. 1,000 yards divided by 17 games, that's only 58 yards per game. You're really going to lock up a multi-million-dollar deal for 58 yards of offense a game. That's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Think about Ezekiel Elliott. They gave him all that money, and how many yards did he average a game this season? 50, 60 yards. Tony Pollard was more productive than him, and he's on a cheaper deal. So why would they ever want to keep Ezekiel Elliott. Don't be surprised if Ezekiel Elliott may be out the door after this coming season. So what are you paying for? 1,000 yards these days is chump change when it comes to the running back and wide receiver position. You got like these guys, like if you want to be considered elite, you got to get 1,400 plus yards from scrimmage to be considered elite at any position, really. Like you got to be averaging 90 plus yards of offense, 100 plus yards of offense if you want to be considered elite in any regard. If you want to be if you want these teams to commit to you long term. So we again, like Miles Sanders, he has a lot riding on this season. Michi says, yeah, a big year for him. If he can't stay healthy, he's out. That's a fact. Eagles Realist says it's a big year for 26. What's going on, Observer? How you feeling, man? Like Jay Will said, Miles Sanders is not elite. He's not great in any way, but he's a good running back, and he knows how to get yards. He knows how to get yards. He's elusive, and if he can remain consistent, he's a threat in the passing game as well. So I'm really curious to see how this thing pans out. Guys like Kenny Gainwell, they're looking for more opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Like Kenny Gainwell, he's great, and he's great at passing. He's great at catching the ball. Running routes. He's shown that he can be elusive and move between the tackles and get to the end zone. He's shown that. You got Boston Scott, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles don't draft a running back or maybe go get one, from the undrafted rookie pool. It's all possible. The Observer says, honestly, if we got Breece Hall from the draft and 150 touches from Miles Sanders, that would be the best running back core for the next 5 to 6 years. Hey man, I heard Breece Hall was really good. I forgot what school he went to though. Jalen Williams, my man, he says Miles also shown a few times this year he was numbers hunting for his contract. Remember the game where he ran out of bounds and was replaced by Gainwell was a prime example. Ooh, great point, Jay Will. I completely forgot about that. What game was that? Was that the Saints game? Was that the Saints game? I can't remember. Oh, what game was that? It was either the Saints game or the Detroit game, right? But he got a point. Miles was numbers hunting at one point. He kept running out of bounds, stopping the clock, and they pulled him because of that. They saw what he was doing. They said, no, we're not doing that. We trying to win this game. Kenny Gainwell came in, closed the game out. You know what I'm saying? Was running, knows how to slide and all that kind of stuff and stay in bounds. We can't have that. We can't have guys who are who are numbers hunting. Now, look, I understand that he probably had incentives in his contract, and he's trying to get as much money as he can. But you can't do that. I don't like guys like that. But at the same time, these organizations definitely make it hard for you to get all your money. And knowing Howie Roseman, he laces contracts with all these incentives and laces contracts with all these outs or off ramps, for the organization. Wouldn't put it past Howie at all to put that thing in his contract, and wouldn't put it past Miles Sanders to stat hunt as well. But overall, he has to be mindful that there's guys behind you that's coming for that spot. Kenny Gainwell. We're gonna either draft or pick up another running back in the undrafted pool. Best believe that. It's so much talent. There's so much talent all over the place. You got to be careful. Jay Will, Miles Sanders would be in the early mid 20s if it wasn't for the O-line, and he is mid-teens to high teens now. Very good point. Very good point. It's a very good point, man. Overall though, it's going to be really interesting to see how Miles Sanders responds to the pressure this season. He has a lot to play for, a lot, but can he stay healthy? That's the biggest question. But yeah, we got 12 people in this live stream, y'all. Really appreciate all the love and support you guys have been giving me. Continue to like the video if you guys are just getting here. Like the video on the way out as well if you got to head out. I know some of you guys are probably on your lunch break at work. I know some of you guys are probably in school listening with one AirPod in and one ear listening to the professor or the teacher, whatever. So I really appreciate you guys taking all necessary precautions to listen to your boy. I'm giving you guys Chalk It Up Sports daily, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I really appreciate all the support. Best believe that. But My final question for you guys before we get out of here is, do you believe Howie Roseman will draft for his job? Now, look, I know he got the 3-year extension, right? But he still has a lot to prove to me. So I guess my real question is, how serious do you guys think Howie Roseman is taking his draft? How serious do you guys think Howie Roseman is taking his draft? Because not often do you have 3 first-round picks. It's not a common thing. So if Howie Roseman doesn't draft like his life depends on it, best believe you can easily get rid of a GM contract. It's no love lost. There's no love lost. Like, I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm nervous about this draft. I'm gonna be on pins and needles watching this draft because Howie Roseman makes me absolutely nervous. Like, he's a guy that you have to monitor and just trust him with a grain of salt. You have to really tread lightly with this man. Who knows? Like I said earlier in the live stream, will he think about going after a quarterback? We have to consider that. You know what I'm saying? That's spooky to me. That makes me nervous. Like, why start over with another young quarterback when you got Jalen Hurts? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm nervous. I'm nervous, man. And then if he drafts a wide receiver, will he pan out? I'm nervous about all those things. Howie Roseman has not fully earned my trust. Now, last year's draft, he did a good job. You know, you got guys like Landon Dickerson out of that draft, Devonta Smith, Kenny Gainwell, Milton Williams. Good drafts. Good drafts. But the years prior, you draft Jalen Reagor, bonehead decision. J.J. Figure-Whiteside, bonehead decision. You know, it doesn't add up. John Hightower, what has he done? Now, you did have a good 2018 draft with Josh Sweat, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders. I think he was the same draft. Who else? What's my man's name? Jordan Mailata. You got some names under your belt. But Howie Roseman, we're gonna be paying close attention. And it's straight like that, you guys. Look, I'm about to get out of here. Like I said, I'm giving you guys an hour of daily content Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow to Chalk It Up Sports Daily. Really appreciate all the love. Really appreciate all the support. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep commenting. You know, you guys are truly one of one. And this content is nothing without you guys. You know, but we gotta tread lightly with Howie Roseman. We gotta pay attention. Like Jay Will said, Howie has done a good job with acquiring assets. You know, he's always been a C-level drafter. His cap management is very, very questionable at times. He gave out a lot of bad contracts the past few years to guys like Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, Malik Jackson. You know what I'm saying? He gave out some bad contracts. Eric Wilson gave out some bad contracts. But overall, he knows how to get out of bad situations when it comes to the cap. I'll tell you that much. He knows how to acquire assets. He knows how to make trades and deals. But overall, we got to watch that man and comb through every decision he makes with the fine-tooth comb. And that's really how I feel about these things, you guys. You know, there's no love lost. I want this team to do well. We all do. We got a lot of high hopes for Jalen Hurts. We got a lot of high hopes for Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, Hassan Reddick, Kazir White, Darius Slay, Josh Sweat, Jordan Mailata. We got a lot of high hopes for these guys. And in order for this team to really be great, you know, these guys have to pan out. So, you know, I appreciate all the love. I'm about to get out of here. I'm your man, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. And we out here.